Look at a world map. Trace your finger from the manufacturing titans of Asia, through the narrow choke point of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, up the Red Sea, into the Suez Canal, and out into the heart of the global economy in Europe and beyond. For decades, this thin blue line on the map has been the central nervous system of globalization, carrying everything: your car, your phone, your Christmas gifts, the energy that heats your home. Now, imagine someone putting a gun to the head of that system. Not with a declaration of war, but with cheap drones and missiles launched from the shores of Yemen. This is the Red Sea crisis. You're being told it's about Gaza, about regional spillover. That's the political cover story. But pull back the economic curtain, and you'll see this for what it truly is: the first great battle of a hidden multi-trillion-dollar trade war. A war where the weapons are shipping containers, the currency is insurance premiums, and the victor will reshape the world's economic map for a century. Stay with me, because the real story is not on the nightly news. It's on the balance sheets of the world's most powerful corporations and nations. Where are you watching from right now? What time is it? Drop a comment and let me know. If you're here for deep dives that connect geopolitics to your wallet and your world, make sure you're part of this community. Hit subscribe, ring that notification bell, and let's get into it. To understand why a handful of attacks off the coast of Yemen can threaten the global economy, you must first grasp the sheer, staggering value of this maritime highway. Approximately 12% of global trade, 30% of global container traffic, and a vital artery for oil and liquefied natural gas (LNG) flows through the Red Sea and Suez Canal. In raw numbers, over $1 trillion in goods annually. Every day of disruption doesn't just delay a shipment. It acts like a virus, injecting chaos into the meticulously timed, just-in-time circulatory system of modern capitalism. A single ship stuck waiting is a floating warehouse of delayed parts, causing factory slowdowns thousands of miles away. But this crisis isn't an accident of war. It's a targeted, calculated economic siege with profound beneficiaries hiding in plain sight. The immediate, visible beneficiaries are the world's shipping and logistics giants. When the Houthi militants began their campaign of attacking commercial vessels in late 2023, the response from the major container lines Maersk, MSC, Hapag-Lloyd, and CMA-CGM was swift. They rerouted traffic around the Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa. This is not a minor detour. It adds 3,000 to 3,500 nautical miles and 7 to 14 days to a journey from Asia to Europe. Instantly, the calculus of global shipping changed. Fuel consumption soars by 40% per trip. Crew wages and vessel operating costs explode. The capacity of the global fleet is effectively slashed as ships are tied up on these much longer voyages. And what happens when supply plummets and demand remains constant? Prices rocket. Freight rates from Asia to Europe quadrupled, even quintupled, in a matter of weeks. A container that cost $1,500 to ship in November suddenly costs $7,000 by January. For these publicly traded shipping conglomerates, this is a windfall of historic proportions. They are not victims of this crisis. They are its primary economic arbitrageurs. They pass the costs directly to their customers. Every major retailer and manufacturer on the planet, while their profit margins swell. They enjoy a perfect storm, a justified war risk surcharge that customers must accept, coupled with reduced operating costs on the longer Cape route, no Suez Canal. Transit fees of $500,000, $1 million per ship. Their stock prices tell the story while the world panics about inflation. The shipping sector has been one of the best performing in the market. They profit from the fear, but the shipping lines are just the most visible layer. Dive deeper into the shadow financiers of risk, the insurance market. Every vessel transiting a war zone must pay a war risk insurance premium. These premiums, set by a specialized committee in London known as the Joint War Committee, went from a nominal fee to a massive surcharge overnight. Insurers and reinsurers, like Lloyd's of London syndicates, are now collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars extra per voyage for the same ships crossing the same water. It's pure, risk-based profit. Furthermore, the marine insurance market, covering the cargo itself, also sees skyrocketing rates. This massive, often opaque, financial industry is extracting a direct toll from global trade, padding its bottom line with every healthy missile launch. The crisis has become a predictable revenue stream for the lords of leverage in the City of London and beyond. Now, let's follow the redirected money. The rerouting around Africa is not just a cost. It's a multi-billion-dollar reallocation of global transport expenditure. Who benefits from the Cape route? South Africa becomes a critical refueling and resupply hub. Ports like Durban and Cape Town see increased traffic, generating fees and local economic activity. The shipping bunker fuel markets in Singapore and Fujairah shift as vessels take on more fuel for the longer journey. Russian and African crude oil traders have found new, eager buyers for their oil in Asia, as traditional routes are disrupted and regional demand patterns twist. This isn't just disruption. It's a forced replumbing of the global energy trade, creating new winners in unexpected places. But to see the true architects of this hidden trade war, you must lift your eyes from the sea lanes to the great power competition shaping this century. This is where the narrative of Houthi rebels acting in solidarity with Gaza meets cold, hard strategic calculus. The Houthis are not an isolated militia. They are a sophisticated, armed proxy of Iran. And Iran's strategic goal is not simply to support Hamas. It is to project power, challenge its regional rivals, and, most critically, strike a blow against the economic stability of the West and its allies, particularly Saudi Arabia. For Saudi Arabia, the Red Sea crisis is a geopolitical and economic nightmare, the centerpiece of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's vision for the future. The $500 billion NEOM megacity project is being built on the Red Sea coast. Its entire economic rationale depends on stable trade, tourism, and investment flowing through that water. Attacks on shipping scare away the very international capital and talent the project needs to survive. Furthermore, Saudi Arabia's ambitious plan to become a global logistics hub, connecting Asia to Europe, is directly undermined when the primary route it seeks to service is considered a war zone. Iran, through its Houthi proxy, is effectively holding a knife to the throat of Saudi Arabia's post-oiled economic future. This is economic warfare by proxy, with Riyadh as the primary target. The crisis also delivers a brutal blow to Egypt, a key Iranian rival and a historic ally of Saudi Arabia. The Suez Canal is Egypt's financial lifeline, a source of nearly $10 billion in annual revenue. Since the diversions began, canal revenues have plummeted by 40 to 50%. This is a catastrophic blow to an Egyptian economy already teetering on the brink of collapse, reliant on foreign loans and Gulf bailouts. By disrupting the Suez, Iran weakens Cairo, destabilizes a U.S. partner, and creates another crisis on Saudi Arabia's flank. The Houthis' cheap drones are achieving what decades of Iranian statecraft could not, crippling the economies of their two greatest regional rivals without firing a single shot directly. And then, there is the great game with China. China has invested heavily in its Belt and Road Initiative BRI, with the Suez route being a critical maritime corridor. But China is also playing both sides. It maintains strong diplomatic and economic ties with Iran, the Houthis' patron. Interestingly, Chinese and Russian-linked vessels have largely been spared from Houthi attacks, suggesting a chilling level of coordination, or at least communication. This allows Chinese shipping to potentially gain a competitive advantage. moving goods more cheaply and reliably through the Suez while its Western competitors are forced onto the costly Cape route. Is China actively encouraging this? Possibly not. But is it leveraging the crisis to weaken Western economic dominance and demonstrate the fragility of U.S.-secured sea lanes while positioning itself as a potential regional mediator? The shadow economy and the engineers of chaos we've just walked through the gleaming corporate headquarters of the war economy, the boardrooms where conflict is analyzed on quarterly earnings reports. But to understand the full, brutal picture of who profits from modern war, we must descend into its shadow economy. This is a realm where profit isn't measured in stock dividends, but in raw power, territorial control, and the naked theft of resources. Here, the goal is not manage conflict for steady returns, but the deliberate engineering of chaos as a business model. This is where the money machine becomes a savage, grinding force of human devastation. Let's begin with the most primal profit: resource extraction. Modern wars are rarely fought over ideology alone. They are fought over what lies beneath the ground. But in the 21st century, the model has evolved. It's no longer just about a nation seizing an oil field. It's about non-state actors and criminal syndicates becoming de facto resource cartels in conflict zones. Consider the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where a decades-long conflict fueled by militias is fundamentally a war to control mines for cobalt, coltan and copper minerals essential for your smartphones, electric cars, and laptops. These militias, often backed by neighboring states and shadowy international brokers, sell these conflict minerals into global supply chains that eventually feed the world's most reputable tech and automotive companies. The war is the means of production. Peace would mean regulation, fair wages, and taxation, a catastrophic blow to their profit margin. The bloodier the chaos, the cheaper the extraction. This model is replicated in illegal resource trafficking from war zones, timber from Myanmar, oil from Syria, which was famously smuggled by ISIS to fund its caliphate, and gold from Sudan. These commodities are laundered through complex networks in Dubai, Turkey, and the Balkans, entering the legal global market utterly sanitized of their origin. The profits fund more war, which secures more resources in a perfect, vicious circle. The ultimate beneficiaries are the international commodity traders and the regimes that provide the laundering hubs, all operating under a veneer of legitimate commerce. This leads us to the second shadow pillar: the war as a racket. For autocratic leaders, launching or perpetuating a war is the ultimate financial and political strategy. It serves multiple profit centers. Patriotism as a shield. Criticism is crushed as unpatriotic. Dissent is treason. The emergency economy. Wartime emergency laws allow for the bypassing of oversight. Massive no-bid contracts for supplies, construction, and arms can be awarded to cronies and family members. Billions in state funds simply vanish. Asset seizure. The property and assets of displaced populations or enemy. Ethnic groups within the country are stolen and redistributed to loyalists' control of aid. International humanitarian aid becomes a lucrative racket. Corrupt officials and militant groups tax it, steal it, and resell it on the black market. In some conflicts, aid is weaponized, granted only to compliant communities. For these regimes, peace is an existential threat. It would mean the return of auditors, anti-corruption bodies, and the dreaded question, where did all the money go? A state of perpetual war is a state of perfect impunity and limitless theft from the national treasury. Now, let's examine the logistics of chaos. The smuggler kings, war zones breed artificial scarcity. Where there is scarcity, there is a black market. And where there is a black market, empires are built. From the Taliban's opium trade to the Houthis' control of Red Sea smuggling routes, to the weaponized famine tactics in Ethiopia, non-state armed groups morph into full-service criminal enterprises. They control the tunnels, the checkpoints, the ports. They levy taxes on everything: food, fuel, medicine, people. The siege becomes their business plan. In Gaza, the tunnel economy once made millionaires of the clans that controlled them. In Yemen, local warlords profited immensely from controlling aid and fuel distribution during the worst famine. These actors have zero interest in a political solution that would normalize trade and break their monopolies. Their power is derived from the controlled flow of scarcity. But perhaps the most sinister modern profiteers are the digital mercenaries and disinformation for hire firms. The battlefield of the 21st century is the human mind, and a new industry has risen to weaponize information. Private companies like the now-defunct Cambridge Analytica or Israeli firms like Group sell services to governments and political actors to wage cyber warfare. They hack, they leak, they create armies of bots to sow societal division, radicalize populations, and destabilize adversaries from within. They don't fire a single bullet, but they profit by making conflicts more intractable, more brutal, and more viral. Their clients are often regimes wanting to undermine foreign rivals or crush internal dissent. They are the ghostwriters of chaos, and their fee is paid in hard currency by the very states drowning in the conflicts they help create. Finally, we must confront the Reconstruction vultures. This is the most grotesque stage of the profit cycle. After the bombs stop, the rebuilders fly in. Often, they are the same geopolitical powers or corporations that profited from the destruction. They secure billion-dollar contracts to rebuild the infrastructure they helped destroy. It's a closed loop of profit. Phase 1, sell the weapons. Phase 2, finance the reconstruction loans. Phase 3, win the no-bid contracts to rebuild. The country is left not only shattered, but shackled by enormous new debts owed to the very actors that impoverished it. This model was perfected in Iraq and Afghanistan, where Western contractors made fortunes on reconstruction efforts widely condemned as failures. The promise of rebuilding becomes a new form of economic colonization. So, who profits most from modern wars? The answer is a hierarchy of complicity. The systemic profiteers. The core of the machine, the arms tech data finance complex embedded in the Western economic system. They profit from the existence of a conflict-ready world. The chaos architects, warlords, and criminal syndicates. They profit from the specific, managed chaos of active war zones to extract resources and power. The opportunistic scavengers, the smugglers, disinformation mercenaries, and black market lords. They profit from the conditions war creates: scarcity, fear, and division. The reconstruction cartel, the corporations and banks that turn devastation into debt and dependency. They profit from the aftermath. They are not separate entities. They feed each other. The systemic profiteers sell the tools to the chaos architects. The scavengers thrive in the ruins they create. The cartel cleans up and cashes in on the mess. It is a global ecosystem with one defining feature. For every actor in this chain, peace is a disruption. Stability is a market correction. Human security is bad for business. This is the hidden truth of our age. We are not living in an era of unfortunate, sporadic wars. We are living inside a money machine that requires conflict as its primary input. To turn it off would require more than diplomacy. It would require dismantling the most powerful economic interests on the planet. The first step is to see the machine for what it is. Not a conspiracy, but a convergence of incentives. Now that you see it, the question becomes, what do we do with this knowledge? This is the conversation they hope we never have. If this investigation has connected the dots for you, your voice is critical. Share this video. Break the spell of simplistic narratives. Demand transparency in defense spending, in political donations, in corporate ownership of our pensions. Follow the money always.